Hello scrappers and planet lovers, Tin Man here with another video. So today what I want to do is tackle this huge paper shredder. The nice thing about paper shredders is that you will find them often on garbage day. A lot of households have them to shred up their personal documents, and they are loaded with great scrappable material. They do have a nice copper motor inside, some silver, some brass, and they are very easy to take apart. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to identify the material and, more importantly, how to separate it properly and maximize your profit. Just to show you in comparison, most of your shredders, the household ones, are going to be about this size here, and this weighs right here about 23 pounds. This one, I wanted to do a video on this just to show you how big it is. I do have another video on one of your regular household ones, and I will include the link to that video in my description. But this one I actually found as well on garbage day in front of a large office. And this one here actually weighs 45 pounds as is. So hoping there is a larger motor inside and some great scrappable material as well. So gonna start right now. I have already gone ahead and removed the bottom screws on the bottom. And I do want to give a couple tips when you are taking apart paper shredders, because there is usually still some paper inside as well as some paper fibers. I will bang it on the ground, but I will also tip it over and dump a bucket of water on it to hopefully make the dust minimize as well as clump the paper together. I did remove as much paper out of there as I could before I started. You can see right there is some shredded paper. And again, there is a little bit of water on here, but that was to minimize the dust. So I'm gonna tip it over. Oh, it is heavy, as I mentioned, and I have already gone ahead and removed the outer screws on it. So all I now have to do, I put the screws on my magnet. These screws, I love having a magnet when I am scrapping. It's easy to hold on to the screws, and I will later put these into my bin. I have a tin bin specifically made for all my screws and bolts. Still gonna get right now in London, Ontario, for these tin price, about 10 to 14 cents a pound, and they all do add up. I just actually brought in another 10-pound bucket of screws. Just gonna pull this up, rip it off. I do wanna put safety glasses on. And another piece of advice, the teeth on these are sharp, so be careful when you are handling them. But just gonna go ahead and rip that off. Here is the top. Gonna look at this first. There is a lot of wire that you see on here. And the first item I'm going to address is my appliance cord. This appliance wire here, great piece of wire. This is going to be at a scrapyard going for what we call 60% appliance wire. Notice the 2 strands of copper, 1 coating of plastic. And this right here is going for about $2.56 in London, Ontario. So I do want to make sure I separate it. There is a lot of cord that is 40%. A lot of your vacuum cleaners, dehumidifiers, air conditioners have that outer thick coating of plastic as well as the individual strands. So that is going for a lot less. So you want to make sure you separate this as you are going by. It does also have some nice brass prongs on here. Some people leave these on for the weight. I do take them off and I put them into my brass. Currently, brass is going for about $3.05 a pound. And I am going to have an upcoming video to show if it's worth it or not, separating all of my brass plug ends. Some people say it's not. I look at long term, and I do have a nice big bucket of them saved up, so we will see. But nice appliance wire here. There is also in the plastic head here a lot of nice circuit boards that you see. These little circuit boards are going to be classified as e-waste, and just going to start taking them off. They do also have screws, as mentioned. And as you can see with this water I put on here, it did not produce a lot of dust, which was great. So again, putting water on here, in my opinion, definitely is beneficial, especially if you are in a garage or a space that has limited ventilation. You know, you don't want to be breathing in that paper dust. So you want to protect yourself for sure. But here again, here's some more wire that I'm going to go ahead and cut. And I will finish cutting the rest of this after I'm done, but want to get as much as I can. So this circuit board does have a little bit of items on here. Where I take my stuff to, there are different places that will have categories for circuit boards. My place in Southwestern Ontario will only give me 5 cents for all of my boards, regardless of the precious metals on them. This board here does not have any copper on it, but it does have 2 relay boxes here that do have actually spools of copper. Sorry, it doesn't have any of the visible copper, but inside of here, if I break those open, there is a tiny spool of copper, as well as, just like this, it's going to have something like this. So a small spool of copper here. As well, if I pull them back, there are going to be a few silver contacts you see there. Those dots do have a small speck of silver on them. Some of them will have copper prongs like this. Some of them will have brass. But there are 2 relay boxes there. And the nice thing is once I remove those, the rest of this board is going to be e-waste. And I have just released another video looking at depopulating boards for palladium, for gold, for silver, aluminum, and copper. And very well worth your time separating those items, bringing them in their own separate category, then leaving them on here and getting my 5 cents a pound. And the nice thing about this is once I do remove the precious metals and other items of value, I can still bring the rest of this board in and get my 5 cents. And it doesn't matter if they are broken. I just brought in a bag of 72 pounds worth, broken, demolished, depopulated to my liking, and I still got the 5 cents a pound. So e-waste, good score as well. And again, there are some pieces to it right here that I want to look at and get off, as well as this wire. This wire here is more of a low-grade mixed wire. I throw all of this stuff into a bag. I get about 65 cents a pound for it. A scrapyard is not going to give you 60% or 40% appliance wire for this because there is way too much plastic on this, not enough copper. So this I do separate into mixed wire. And again, 65 cents a pound, better than nothing. Okay. Inside of here, there are a lot of screws. So just going to start looking at those. Looking at right here is my prized possession, that nice motor here. I want to see if it's copper. I do also want to check this bar. This bar you can see is magnetic, so a nice piece of magnetic steel. If you did look at it and it was non-magnetic, it could be stainless steel, which is about 77 cents a pound. But regardless, most of this heading here is going to be tin, so 10 cents a pound to 14 cents a pound for sure. But want to get to that motor. So a couple screws. Want to check if that is copper or not. If that is copper windings, I am definitely going to make a huge profit from that. Right now that would be number 2 copper going for $4.36 a pound. But again, locating the screws on here, that is the first thing I need to make sure I do. Just find any screw I can, just start taking them off. There is a couple really nice heavy gears here that you see. These are going to give me, if I was to take them in, I could get steel price for these. While I'm on the subject of tin, people ask me, what's the difference between tin and steel? The difference is the thickness of the metal. In order for it to be steel, the material has to be thicker than a 1/4 inch. And these gears are definitely thicker than a 1/4 inch. So I could put them into my steel pile. Steel is a couple cents more a pound. So it's going from about 14 cents a pound to 17 cents a pound. But in my opinion, it does depend on how much you have. I am not going to bring in just a small load of gears like this, drive off to the steel pile to get a couple cents a pound. So for me, I just throw it all into my tin. If I had a huge load of steel like trampoline poles, your bed rails, those items, more structural beams, those are your heavy duty steel. And if I had a load of those, yes, for sure I would bring those in, get the extra money because I have a truckload and it is worth my time and effort. But a lot of times I will just have little pieces of gears like this mixed in with a whole bunch of tin. And again, for me, it's just going to be thrown into my tin pile. So I'm hoping I got all of the bolts here. See if I can pull this entire thing out. Here we go. I think there's one or two more. There we go. So a little bit more wire here. There is right here on the bottom, I can see it, a small little motor. Okay, I got to pull that out. There is a screw on there, but you can see a lot of that paper gunk is on here. There are a couple more screws that I want to take out. A small little relay, circuit board, sorry. And the rest of this is heavy duty plastic. And because it does still have some bolts in here, I am just going to throw it into my steel. I do have some people that say that they can actually get price of plastic at a scrapyard, especially my friends out east, which was great that you will get money for plastic. Unfortunately, here in southwestern Ontario, scrapyards will not take large items of plastic. They will just throw it in the garbage. So it'd be nice if our government got on that incentive, but I am going to leave the bolts on here and get tin price because there is still a lot of steel still on here. But my motor, going to get to, hopefully there's the screws underneath hidden. All right. And again, these screws are going to be classified as some tin. Want to make sure I save them all. Hoping that this will release this motor. Make sure there is, again, a lot of plastic or paper still jammed up in here. But looking at this, there. Pull that faceplate off. So again, here is my gear. Look at that nice thick piece. It is heavy, but again, just gonna throw it into my tin as well as this piece. This is thicker than 1/4 inch. So again, some nice weight there. Got a few more screws to get to. This gear here, even though it does have plastic, this is plastic, but this is still metal. I'm gonna throw this into my tin. And again, I'm just releasing this motor. And I want to check, before I go ahead and take this motor apart, I want to see if it is actually going to be copper or aluminum coils. If I scratch those coils and they reveal a metallic look, then it's aluminum. And for me, it's not worth taking apart. Here in southwestern Ontario, we do not get much money for aluminum coils. Some of my friends have commented they are worth it for them. So it does depend on where you are. Here is some more wire. It's all through this place. So again, this wire, I'm looking at it. This stuff I will throw into my appliance wire. This is a large capacitor. There is a category for capacitors at a scrapyard too. They're not worth much. They're about 3 cents a pound, but it's better than nothing. So here again is a little bit more wire. This does have some nice copper inside. So this is some more 60% appliance wire. So here we go. Last thing. See if I can, where is it? There's the last screw. Hiding under some paper. There we go. So just hopefully this is going to slide out. 2 of them. So again, because I put that water on there, I definitely saved myself a lot of dust coming up. So I really strongly suggest that for yourself. Okay, but here we go. We're gonna just see if I can hit that out. There we go. So there is my motor, and this is a very heavy motor. The rest of this, I'm actually just gonna throw this entire thing into my tin. So I have my scale down here. I'm gonna put it on the floor. This right here weighs still 27 pounds. So still 27 pounds. Just gonna throw it in a tin. As mentioned, a lot of times it does not take a lot of tin to add up weight. So great score still here. And that's not even including all of these pieces. But again, I don't have to do anything else to this. Moment of truth with this wire. Again, I'm just gonna take a file, scratch this. Hopefully it reveals copper. Oh, yes, it does. Look at that. So there you go. So that is copper. Beautiful copper there. So that is number 2 copper. And that is going for currently $4.17 a pound. I do have a separate video showing you how to take that out, but all I'm actually going to do for this video is I'm just going to unscrew the cap here. I will put in my link a video showing you how to remove the copper. It is very easy to do. I have had some of my viewers say that they just bring these in, and I do see a lot of my fellow scrappers bring in buckets of these to the scrapyard. Oh, I gotta make sure the bolts, I gotta secure the bolts here. The bolts are moving. So there are a couple nuts on here still that I have to play with. So unfortunately here, I do have to clamp that. See if I can slow that down, because again, if I just simply unscrewed it, there are some nuts on the bottom, so I am gonna have to control those or get to those, have to clamp them. But this will, once I do that, this will pop off. And if I put a magnet to this top, you can see this top is non-magnetic. So this head here is actually cast aluminum. Cast aluminum right now is going for 56 cents a pound. So I do want to make sure that I pull this cap off and I separate it, as well as the bottom here. The rest of this frame, once I remove the copper, I'm still going to get tin price for this. If I was to bring this in as is, I would get copper motor price, and currently that right now is going for 21 cents a pound, I believe. So in my opinion, again, getting that clean copper, separating that, separating the cast aluminum, separating the tin, still getting 10 cents a pound for that tin, well worth your time opening these. So please, for your sake, stop bringing these in whole like this, especially if it is copper. Again, if it is aluminum here in Southwestern Ontario, I would just leave it on and get the motor price. My friends that say they get a higher value for aluminum, for them, it is probably worth their while to take off those aluminum strands, as well as transformers. A lot of my transformers now, a lot of the newer models of microwaves, for example, are now being replaced with aluminum windings. And for me, again, if those transformers are aluminum, I will just throw those right into my transformer, not touch them, not open them, or get tin price for it, which is actually 2 cents more than my aluminum transformers. So that is the better option for me. But it does depend on where you are and your prices for your items. So again, unfortunately, I am going to have to work at this, get those bolts, clamp them. Sometimes you can, like I said, just use your finger, but this is going to be a little bit harder to do. There we go. This one maybe, no, I'm going to have to get a smaller tool, and I think it's in the house. But again, remove this center plate here, pop that off, get my clean cast aluminum. Beautiful piece of tin. I don't have to remove the paper here. The nice thing is, mentioned with the water clumping it together, it stays on there, doesn't make a further mess in my garage, and more importantly, does not release that paper fiber into the air for me to breathe in. So, short video. Hope you enjoyed that. It is very hot in here again, just continuing with this heat wave, but all of your paper shredders are built the same. Again, I do have a smaller one that I have taken apart, and I will include that link. I will include the link for all of my copper motors, because there are different ones. Very easy to open for sure. Very easy to maximize that profit, getting out that nice clean copper. Make sure you do the scratch test to see if it is copper. A lot of tin, a lot of different material. I do have a beautiful appliance wire at my 60% appliance weight price at $2.56 a pound Canadian, and another item diverted from the landfill. So again, paper shredders, excellent item to get. Be careful when you are working with the teeth. They can be sharp, but you will find them often, and a great source of scrappable material. So hope you enjoyed that. Please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Tin Man out.